I identify as they, them, or he, him. Finally, some kind of non-binary recognition, and this was a topic that hit really, really close to home. Slowly, we are being noticed. I want to spread my views out there. I want to get passionate. I want to get angry. The first Pride was a riot. The fight's still going on, but we are slowly getting recognized, and we're slowly building up to a goal that we want to achieve, which is being recognized and having the same rights as any other white cis het person.
Hi, my queer family. I'm Javier Lopez. Hope you're all safe and sound. In this episode, I'm talking with Julian Rivera. We are discussing the UK Equality Act and the recent changes, what they represent for the LGBTQIA+ community, and some of their personal experiences coming out. Non-binary people protected by the UK Equality Act. A UK employment tribunal has recently ruled out that non-binary and gender-fluid people are protected under the Equality Act. The Equality Act protects people from discrimination on the basis of age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief, sex and sexual orientation. Hope you enjoy watching and listening to this episode as much as I did recording it.
I'm Julian. I identify as they, them, or he, him. I am from the States, and I identify as non-binary, and I live in the UK currently for 3 years. I'm a student. And what else? I own a cat. I'm artistic. So yes, essentially, it's as simple as I can put it.
Okay, thank you very much. So tell me then, what made you raise your hand and wanted to talk about this particular topic?
So I was kind of scrolling through Instagram just kind of idly, and then I saw that post, and I didn't see the full article, and I was like, it kind of stopped at an unfortunate area, and I thought, oh my god, I have to find the full article, because the way they phrased it was like, oh, there's gonna be discrimination by there's no discrimination by age, and I was like, okay, crap, like, um, and then I read the full article, and I was like, okay, finally, some kind of non-binary recognition, and this was a topic that hit really, really close to home. So slowly, we are being noticed. And I mean, I've been out for about, say, 3-4 years. And only recently, only for the past couple of years, have I slowly started to be properly out. So this actually meant a lot, and I wanted to come forward and be like, well, I want to speak about this on the podcast, because I want to spread my views out there. I want to get passionate. I want to get angry, and I want to get angry. It's very me. Because I was talking to a friend, and I told her, like, hey, there's this podcast, I'm gonna be in it. There's the article, and she was like, there you go with your non-binary rage. um
It's just passion. You're passionate about this.
of course.
I mean, there's also a little bit of rage, and that's good. You need that to actually follow through and push through, to actually get that message across to people.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, it is important, and unfortunately, people in our community, we only really get things moving along if we make some noise, if we get angry, if we're loud. I mean, the first Pride was a riot. So from there, the fight's still going on, but we are slowly getting recognized, and we're slowly building up to a goal that we want to achieve, which is being recognized and having the same rights as any other white cis het person, regardless of race and disability and age. it is important because people are people regardless of, how they identify, and why should someone who identifies differently to, cis heteronormity and doesn't sort of comply or conform to society, why do we get less rights than others? So it's important to kind of speak up about this kind of thing. It is important to get angry. It is important to address that if you are being treated unfairly, you should talk about it.
Yeah, I think the all the noise that we make, all the rage, it's just been building up for so many years.
Exactly.
So we obviously are going to explode in people's faces when we want to say what we need to say because we cannot hold it anymore.
Yeah. Eventually, enough is enough because you're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not being heard. And on top of, everything else, when I read the article, because not only do we get discriminated by sex, gender, whatever, orientation, but we also get discriminated by age, by our disability, should one have one. And the age one hit hard because nowadays I think there's something being passed about how you cannot change your name until a certain age. So getting to be who you are is getting harder and harder. I've noticed that. Before it was quite easy to change your name. I found that. Nowadays you have to go through like a diagnosis that you have dysphoria, then you have to live in your gender after you've come out officially medically for another 2 years to prove how trans you are. And then you have to be in front of a court of cis hets again to prove that you came out as transgender and you've been out for 2 years. And then only then can you change your name with a valid reason. So I'm like, that's not great.
No, this is really is really messed up because they're making it harder and harder for individuals to be themselves.
Yeah.
And this is held, and the rules and the agreements and everything are being held by people that don't understand this. They have not gone through this. They're not related to anybody that are going through these struggles. So why should they decide when you are ready to actually identify as trans, as non-binary, or whatever that may be? As you said, you have been feeling like that through your whole life.
Yeah.
But obviously we have society now putting up all of these barriers like age.
Yeah, of course.
You need to be this age before you can actually try and be yourself. And I was like, I just want to be myself. Why do I need to be a certain age? You don't even understand why are you even sitting there deciding what my future is going to be like? So it's very tough. And again, the anger is always going to be there every time with people. Every time that anger and that rage is going to be there because yes, enough is enough. And we have to do something about it, This year, unfortunately, I couldn't be present at the London Trans Parade. You weren't there? Yeah, so it was a shame for me because I really wanted to go there, but I have 3 partners at the moment and I need to look after all of them.
Yeah.
So if I go out, I'm going to put myself at risk. So as much as I wanted to be there, I had that struggle in my mind and dilemma. Should I go and support? But then I have, my partners that I really need to look after at home. Last year, I was there totally with one of my partners, and it was a great experience to see the support from people. Were you there in that one?
I couldn't make it to that one. I was already out of the country.
Okay. Shame. Yeah, maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Hopefully next year.
Yeah. So slowly things are changing, but we need them to change quicker because this is not a new topic, and all they do is slowing down the process for the people that just simply want to express themselves and be themselves. So yeah, with that, would you like to tell us a little bit more about your own story?
I mean, sure, as in like how I came out and sort of started to identify as non-binary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that was a trip because I started off, because I mean, from the beginning, I knew I wasn't straight. I just from the beginning, I was like, yeah, no, because I was into unknowingly, I was into girls from a very young age, and then that kind of like, apart from sexual orientation, coming out as non-binary took a long time because obviously I didn't know what it was at that age. I think I came to knowing it when I was about 16, 17. And it started to pop up as a term. And at first I was like, yeah, that seems kind of cool. And my friends at that time were really supportive and they tried to help me out, to, I guess, dress in the way that, to help me find sort of my comfort and how I wanted to look, with what limited resources we had at that time.
Yeah.
Um, and afterwards, as I started to kind of research more into non-binary, um, I started to play around. I was like, okay, let's go for a name. Let's go for a name. And I was going through and I was trying to playing around with names. And then eventually I was like, okay, I quite like the name of Jules. Jules was how it started out. People still call me Jules. I don't mind it. And after that, I was like, well, kind of, let's make that and turn it into more mask because I prefer to, though I identify as non-binary, I prefer to look masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the name a bit more masculine, went with Julian. And it just kind of stuck. It just kind of felt right for the longest time. I was like, yeah, I don't see any other name for myself. Julian's like perfect. Because I don't know, there's just like a weird hint of chaos to the name for some reason. But um and then I started to kind of debate if I was fully trans. Because I was like, well, there are times where I don't feel feminine anymore. I'm just like, I completely rejected femininity at the age of like 17 because I was like, no femininity for me. It's just anything feminine. I'm like full dysphoria. No, thank you. It was bad enough that I didn't have a binder at that time because I didn't know where to get one. And yeah, so if I couldn't have a binder, I couldn't have anything feminine. I started to reject all forms of femininity, and she, her pronouns were just like a no. Obviously, I couldn't come out to my parents because I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know their stand on what was non-binary, especially if I didn't understand it myself
Yeah.
properly. How was I going to explain it to them? And I was still sort of on the fence of, was I non-binary? Was I trans? Was I fully just a dude? Was I fully just, I don't know. So I started to play around with pronouns that time. So I went fully he, him for like the longest time and was like, well, yeah, I'd love to go on hormone therapy. And I didn't. I still had to do some thinking because I still didn't get the grasp of it. Eventually, I moved out at the age of 18, and moving out really helped because, yes, I didn't have the confidence to live on my own yet, but eventually I started to not only have confidence living on my own, but this gave me space and time to really figure out how I identified and what my pronouns were and who I was attracted to. So it was a slow grow. And eventually at 18, I was like, right. 18, 19, I was like, right. I am sure that I'm non-binary, identify as they, he. Um, I love rocking short hair. Um, I love rocking like, dark sort of alternative clothes for a while, but also I like going pastel. That was another thing. So I was very hardcore, like masculine for a long time, really hardcore masculine because again, I had some kind of like internalized, not misogyny, but it was a internalized sort of debate, internalized argument, like, I I couldn't be soft. I couldn't be like
Right.
nice things. I couldn't like pretty things because it was just not masculine. It
Yeah.
was too feminine. And again, as I told you, I rejected all things feminine for a long time. And I was like, no, flowers, ew, pink, ew, soft pastel colors, no. So I was rocking like a lot of heavy sort of punk look, like an 80s punk look for like the longest time. And then eventually, once I got more and more comfortable with being non-binary, I was like, okay, maybe pastel colors are not so bad. So I always thought I'd be the pastel. I always thought I'd be the goth first in the relationship, in any sort of relationship. And then I sort of became the pastel one in the relationship, and my partner turned out to be the goth one. The funniest turnaround ever. But eventually I was like, yeah, I identify as non-binary, and I do eventually like soft things and feminine things. It's not a bad thing. It's not to do with how masculine or feminine you are. Just society is really pushing these idealistics that if you are a boy or if you identify as masculine, you shouldn't like pretty things like pastels and pink and whatever.
Mm.
So nowadays, now I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm softer. I can be a soft masculine person, but still like pink and pastel, and it's fine. But I guess it was just sort of a lot of insecurity, and I didn't know who I was. And
Wow.
I sort of felt like the more masculine I was, the more I passed, I guess.
Okay. So, wow, I mean, it has been a journey
It has.
of changes and insecurities and deciding what you're more comfortable with.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of being non-binary, and that's the beauty of the gender. It's a spectrum, you know.
Yeah.
You can change, you can switch, you can just be whoever you want to be.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it, you know. If you, it's not about not feeling comfortable, but as you mentioned now, you could be, you could look masculine but still wear a pink shirt or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally fine, you know. And it's all those ideas that society has put into us that we have to look a certain way,
It's unfortunate.
and it's really a struggle,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all we knew for a long period of time, and it's really hard to get ourselves out of that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But we are doing the work, you know. So thank you very much for sharing a little bit of your story and a little bit about your journey. So going back to the topic about the about the recent changes in the UK, where do you think we're going to be in the distant future in regards to this? Do you think the work that we're doing is actually going to get us there?
I mean, again, it's a fight. If we keep fighting for what we want, unfortunately, yes, we have to scream, we have to make some noise, we have to riot, but it's very difficult at the moment with a pandemic. Because it's the whole consideration of staying safe. Yes, we want to riot, yes, we want to make some noise. But I think gradually there will be some sort of change. I mean, if it's starting now, if it's starting from non-binary rights being protected in the UK regardless of age and sex and race, then I think we are going to get there. Maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in a couple months or a year, but we will get there. I think slowly there will be changes implemented, and if not, I'll fight. So
We'll fight together.
yeah, we'll fight. If not, we'll fight. But I think it's sort of, we will get there. I've noticed that it's not just in terms of rights, but it's also about in the media as well. How I think we are also getting recognized in the media, in TV shows, in movies, which is it's good representation. It's really good representation.
Getting better. We're not there yet, but it's getting better.
It's getting better. It is getting better, and it's nice to see changes implemented. change is needed, and it's about time we got recognized, to be honest, because I'm very sick of not like being recognized. It's also the fact I've noticed that when it comes to pronoun correction, yes, I'll get misgendered, but it's these sort of it's kind of a shame because I do want to tell people they them, but there's a sort of weird gap there because I will correct people, but I'll say he him instead of they them, because there'll be a whole sort of circle of, oh, what's they them, what's that. And then again, you'll just stand there having a conversation on the bus because some lady decided to call you she instead of they or he.
Do you feel obligated to educate people in this situation?
Yeah, it is important to educate, but when it comes to correcting pronouns on a whim because someone misgendered you, let's say like doing a service or something, then you are more likely, I guess, it's funny, you are more likely to go, oh, it's he him, rather than stand there and explain they them, because sometimes you don't have the time, or sometimes you're like, ugh. But yeah, otherwise, no, it is important to educate. It is important to go like, stop, like they them, not she her or whatever you've misgendered me as. It is they them, and that those are my pronouns. And I think it's important to start doing that more often if we want to get recognized.
Yeah, I think nowadays, when I see an advert about a queer individual, and by being themselves at such a young age, it's amazing, because I never thought I would be living in a time where I could see things like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that sense of fulfillment and happiness, because I feel like somehow I am part of this movement.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's like, this makes me so happy, and I just want to cry, because we've been fighting for so long, and the ones before us for so long, to get something like this, some sort of recognition that we are here, and we are humans just like everybody else. So why are we being treated differently just because we want to be who we want to be? And it's not for the other person to decide, where you should fit, or the boxes, or whatever. It is my life. I decide what to do with it. And then if you don't like, then just keep walking, or just don't say anything if you don't have anything good to say. Be respectful.
Yeah, also, there's this whole thing about like, oh, gender reveal parties. That's another thing. There's just so many jokes about it going around, because it's just like, they're very harmful, if I'm honest, these gender reveal parties, because they don't take on account intersex as well. They don't take on account like, oh, okay. I mean, they're really sort of toxic, idealistic, things being pushed onto children before they've even been born yet.
Yeah, the only way is to test this, and nobody is doing this to actually find out before you do something like this.
Yeah.
You're actually setting up a path,
and I mean,
for a child that you don't know how they are going to identify. So from the very beginning, we're setting this path, and we're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. And not only is this whole sort of, oh, again, because of society, because of things like this, I was confused for a long time about my own gender. I was confused that, oh, just because I liked pink, it meant that I passed less than a cishet dude would. Because, again, I'm not a male at birth. I'm AFAB. So essentially, it felt like I had to try harder to pass as a cishet dude, which meant then, yes, I had to go with society's, idealistic views of what and or how a dude should act, which is not the way I would have gone about it. But nowadays, I've noticed that there's resources for children. I've noticed that there are more talks to children. There are people who come in and they talk about, non-binary or the LGBTQ plus community.
Mm-hmm.
And, I am very happy to see this movement. I'm genuinely like very happy. I have a sister and she told me that they even had someone come in and have a talk about the LGBTQIA community. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. I'm so happy to see this movement. But there's a part of me, not a selfish part, but just a part of me that wishes that there was someone out there that could have told me and could have educated me when I was younger and started to come out and started to question my gender. And then I'm like, that's okay because, I learned from experience and I learned on my own, which means I can pass on what I learned and what experience I picked up to the next generation who are struggling to come out.
Yeah.
So on days where it's like, oh, trans visibility or non-binary visibility, bisexual visibility, I'm always the one who goes or posts like, if your parents don't accept you for the way you are, I'm your dad now. I'm your dad now. Burgers on the grill, come get them. Come get them. Sit yourself down, and then I'm always open for questions, and I'm always open to my friends, or I'm always open to people who have just come out and who want resources and who want help to be who they are. I will do that, because if someone won't do that, who's gonna do that? Yes, sure, they'll do that themselves, but it's always nice to have some kind of support system. And yes, it's nice, but there's something very bittersweet about it, is the fact that why is a stranger more willing to help another stranger who's just come out than someone who you're supposed to consider close, your parents? Why can't you turn to them? It's very sad, if I'm honest. It's very sad that you can't turn to your parent that you kind of depend on, that you trust. You can't turn to them and be like, well, I need some help with this, because you are afraid of being shunned by someone who you think you trust. And you are more inclined to turn to a stranger who has been through this than to someone who, yes, has life experience, but not in the experience that you want them to have.
I think I can clearly see that you want to be that support for the ones now you didn't have in the past.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that they don't go through the same things that you did.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an amazing thing, to have to put the others first, and not be selfish instead, and thinking, oh, I didn't get that opportunity, why should I give it to another person?
Yeah.
You're doing the opposite, which is amazing. We need more people like you, more people that are willing to put the other person first, and help them throughout the struggles that you didn't get to manage when you were growing up,
Yeah. I mean, it's all very well saying like, well, if I didn't get it, why should I help anyone else? But you should help someone else, because that's what makes a community a community.
Yes.
That's how a community works. Yes, we don't really know each other, but at the end of the day, if you want to make a community, make it like a family. And if someone has just come out of the closet as however they identify, and they are stuck, then, and there's no one there, there's no sort of support system, then you're going to be very lost. And I was lucky to have a support system of a couple friends who knew what non-binary was and did actually introduce what gender fluid and non-binary and that sort of whole umbrella. So I was very fortunate in that, but at the same time, we were all just kind of going from each other rather than having someone that was more experienced to help us out. And it would have been nice to have that, but alas, you can't really change the past. You can only change the present and future and help sort of the future generations with the help that they need.
Yeah, definitely. So have you had people recently, in that particular situation, they have reached out to you for some sort of support, or have you take the initiative to actually say, hey, I can help you with some of this. I've been through this. I have some experience. Here I am. I'm going to be your dad from now on.
Yeah, I've had that experience. So my sister knows that I am non-binary, that I identify as bisexual. And I think a friend of hers had come out recently, and I guess she didn't really have much experience in being bisexual. And me being absolute chaotic bisexual ever, um, pure bi fashion, pure bi energy, just bisexual cat dad. Um, she directed her friend to me, and she kind of messaged me. She's like, "Hey, you're queer. Can you help my friend?" And I was like, "Okay, sure.
All right.
I'll do what I can." And I've noticed nowadays that the younger generation, the younger they are, the more I see that they come out. Young people do come out. Whereas in sort of when I was growing up, we had more teenagers coming out. Nowadays, I've seen 10-year-olds and children come out, and I'm just like, God bless you all for knowing who you are now. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was at that age. So yeah, there are children who are just like, yeah, identify as this, and I know that I guess it's because they have the terminology nowadays that can help them out. They have the internet. They are blessed with the power of the internet, so they can always research. That's fine, but there's nothing quite like having a one-to-one experience with someone who's already gone through something like that. My sexual orientation is a completely different story entirely. Apart from identifying as non-binary and trans and then non-binary again, my sexual orientation was just a whole other parallel journey to how I identified. And so went through the entire sort of spectrum of how I identified as well, how I sort of gravitated towards, because there was a point where I didn't know. But yeah, I've helped a lot of friends actually. I've helped even a friend who came out as a woman, and though obviously I didn't identify as feminine, but I was able to help her in the resources that she needed.
Yeah.
Which it made me really happy, and to this day she thanks me for it. Like, she's always like, you're the one who helped me come into my skin and actually realize that I was trans, I was a woman this whole time. And I was like, she picked her name out and everything, and I'm really happy for her. So now she's really, really confident in her sexuality
herself.
Yeah, so I was really happy with the fact that I was able to help someone. And I've helped many people. I'm sort of very much a father figure to a lot of people, and I mean, my partners tease me about it all the time. They're just like, "You're such a dad."
It's just who you are. You want to help people.
I'm a big sort of dad figure, because I'm a big dork, big soft lovable dork on the inside. And yeah, I care deeply about my friends, and whoever hurts any of my new trans or non-binary people that have just come out and need help, then I will actually break someone's nose. So
have you?
No, it's not come to that yet. But yeah, so it's sort of like I post it all the time on days where it's like trans visibility, and any sort of day where it's just a visibility day, or trans month like Pride Month, The whole Pride Month, I'm like, right, it's Pride Month. This is important to people who have just come out. And so I'm always like, okay, happy Pride. I am your non-binary bisexual parent. And again, if you have just come out or are coming out or are still in the closet and aren't sure, then I am here because again, my sexual orientation has spanned across like everything. So I went from being bisexual, funny enough. I started being bi, and then I went to being a lesbian at that time when I still identified as AFAB. And then I went to being pan, so bi pan again. And then I just kind of stuck with that because I was like, right, everyone's hot. So
That's great. I mean, it's awesome that you have gone through all of these changes in your journey. And I mean, I'm no one to say that this might change or not in the future. But this is the beauty again, because it is a spectrum and you can choose to be whoever you want to be. So it's great that you feel comfortable in your skin right now, being the dad with the burgers in your grill for people just to come over and knock on your door for support. So I think that's amazing, and the work that you're doing is great. So I'm very happy to have gotten to know you and know that you are there supporting that community, So I want to thank you on behalf of everybody else for the support that you,
my best.
all the work that you do. Yeah. So in the interest of time, let's just move back quickly onto the main topic. What are your thoughts on, bathrooms?
I mean, okay. Forgive me for being really graphic for a second.
That's okay.
But at the end of the day, this is somewhere where we take a shit. So
Go on.
So at the end of the day, like what's it matter? But at the same time, where you go is very euphoric. I think there's a lot of discussion about dysphoria in the community and that you have to be dysphoric to be trans. But you forget the euphoria part of it. There is every bit of euphoria that we seek in our gender. There's that little there's that little like mistake that people make, like, sir, and then they'll look at you and be like, oh wait, sorry, ma'am, and I'll be like, no, wait, go back, sir was fine. But I get euphoria out of that. And I think using the correct bathroom in public and being sort of comfortable with that is a euphoria in itself. And I think we should let people use the bathroom that they're comfortable with without fear of harassment or fear of, discrimination, that, you shouldn't use that bathroom because I'm not comfortable with you being here. I mean, just go. Just leave me to my business and you go do yours, and then we can leave. And it's like we never met. Why do people feel like they have to get involved with it? Everyone else is like, where they go. And
people using the bathroom, it doesn't gonna change anything about the other person.
No, it really isn't. Again, at the end of the day, we're just going in here. We have never met each other. We're just going in here, using the bathroom, washing our hands, leaving. All of a sudden, there's this whole mess about, you're in the wrong bathroom. I'm in the right bathroom. Don't question me. Go in that cubicle, do your business, and leave. Sis, like, come on. But yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. And God forbid that Karen is offended that someone is in her bathroom. Like, she owns the place.
Yeah, Karen, that's another story. Yeah.
God forbid that you're uncomfortable with me being in your bathroom. I'm sorry, I didn't know you bought the place. Like,
Yeah.
There was one time, I think, where I went to a McDonald's bathroom and I just went into the women's because I was like, right, it was the closest one. And I'm like, okay, I really don't care. I just really need to go. And some woman just kind of bustled past me and she looked at me and had a laugh and was like, thought you were a man. And I was just like, oh, well, um, yeah, about that. And
Tell you a story.
just tell my whole life story in the bathroom. But yeah, so I was like, okay, what does it matter? Maybe, okay, maybe I do not pass as a woman, but you don't know. What if I do identify as a woman and this is the bathroom I want to use because I'm comfortable, because I want to use it, because this is the space that gives me a momentary euphoria. However, I'm quite actually happy in some public places that they started implementing gender neutral bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I think in one of them being my uni has gender neutral bathrooms, which I'm quite happy about actually.
Are they very supportive, as an entity, as an organization, not just with the bathroom, but with everything else?
Yeah. My uni is quite supportive of it. I'm in an art university and we have students who identify as different sexes and sexual orientation and everything. So yeah, our university is really open about it, very supportive, which is very nice to see. And they try to use my pronouns correctly. I do try and correct them often. So yeah, they do use my name, but they do tend to misgender me, and I get a little bit annoyed because I'm like, right, I'm literally the only person in the class that identifies as they them. Everyone else identifies as he or she, and I'm just there like, I am they them. I'm the only person in this class that is they them. It's not that hard to forget. Come on.
Yeah.
So if a teacher misgenders me, I'm like, they just aggressively at this point. I'm just like they, because at this point I'm just like, I'm done. I am tired, old, and gay. Please just.
So, what advice do you give to people that might go through the same thing but are not as outspoken as you are?
I think if you are alone, it is quite difficult to do, especially if you do not have the confidence to be like to correct people. Because I get it. I mean, sometimes I'm like, ugh, I just don't want to. I cannot be bothered. But I think it's you get used to it. I think you have to get into this sort of rhythm of correcting people, because as soon as you correct people, the more you correct people, the more it's ingrained in you eventually. I know it's not very easy to do. It is a really difficult thing, especially now with discrimination. It's very difficult to be very adamant about it, but eventually you're kind of like, right, I'm done with you misgendering me. My pronouns are this, please use them, or I might get pissed off, or I might eventually it is a thing and it is ingrained in you. Eventually you will just be like she or they or he, constantly just correcting people. I think it's also quite nice if you have just come out and you are starting to use your pronouns in public. It can be very nerve-wracking. I know that I found it very very scary in the beginning, correcting people. But I think it's very nice to have someone who is there as a supportive friend to correct for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've also found something really funny. But when I started to use my pronouns in public and I started to be a bit more brave with them, and someone misgendered me, that time I still used he, him pronouns. They said, "Oh, she," and I was like, "Excuse me, I'm a bloke."
Period.
Period. Like, so excuse, just like really offended. I've also noticed that if you're really offended, if you act offended, just like, excuse me. That's not my pronouns. But yeah, that's like our last resort. But again, I just say have a supportive friend with you, especially if you've just come out and you are not using your pronouns just yet, if you are scared to. It's important to have a friend that is actually kind of outspoken and will correct their pronouns for you. I found that I've done that with a couple people. I will go out with someone who does not feel comfortable or has not used their pronouns in public yet and is only testing them out. I found that, if I walked with them and if we went somewhere and they got misgendered, I'd be like, they use this pronoun. Please, could you address them that way? Obviously, ask respectfully, be respectful, don't be too aggressive, but be firm. Be firm, because the firmer you are, it kind of shows a sort of confidence, and that kind of grows over time. It's not something that you can achieve immediately. So I say, to summarize, get into the rhythm of it, get used to it, continuously correct someone that is misgendering you, and have someone supportive by you if you're afraid to do it yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, for the ones listening, it might be hard at the beginning, as you mentioned, Julian, to express yourself and to use your pronouns. But hopefully, for the ones listening, you will find that support in a friend or in a parent or in your uncle or whatever. Somebody's going to support you, whether they're your chosen family or your bio family.
Yeah.
Somebody has to support you. Once you find that person, and you use that person to your advantage, and that person is gonna be there to help you throughout your whole journey.
Yeah.
Their job as an ally, as your friend, as being part of this community. So yeah. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for all your words. Thank you for sharing your experience and for being so honest and open about it. Any last words before we close off?
Is it going to be more like this? Because I definitely enjoyed myself.
Yes, there will be many more like this. We can definitely do a follow-up. That's not a problem. Of course, the more the better. And so yes, we can just be in touch after this and just arrange more. I know the topics that we're discussing are very extensive, so I knew already that one session was not going to be enough just to talk about that particular thing. Like we did today, 1 hour is not going to be enough. But we can again do some more. I mean, I did enjoy as well our time in the conversation. It was really, really great to meet you and to know you and to hear your stories as well. And know that you have somebody here as well that will support you and help you as well. It looks like you're doing well for the most part, but I'm here for anything that you need, for any support, whether with the podcast or outside of it. So yeah, thank you very much for everything.
Of course.
Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions or want to stay in touch, you can find me on Instagram at My Queer Family Podcast. Until next time.